Picture this. You are a 13-year-old boy concubine, lying on a silk mattress in a room lit by the faint glow of an oil lamp. The smell of rosewater still clings to your skin from the bath you took earlier. The palace is silent, not the comforting quiet of the night, but the kind that presses in, heavy, like the moment before a storm breaks. And then you hear it. Heavy footsteps in the corridor. Not the shuffle of a servant, but the slow, deliberate tread of palace guards. They are coming for you, and in this palace, a summons in the dead of night can mean one thing. They will use your body in ways that will make you pray for death, and then deny you even that mercy. By sunrise, you could be chained in the palace dungeons, your screams echoing through chambers designed to muffle sound, while men take turns breaking every part of you that once brought pleasure. And this was considered the gentle option. What I'm about to tell you actually happened to real boys in the Ottoman Empire. Their names were erased from history, but their suffering was documented by diplomats who witnessed it firsthand. One Venetian ambassador wrote about hearing screams from the palace basement that lasted for 3 straight days. He never learned who was making those sounds, but he knew they had once been someone the Sultan loved. Hours ago, you were certain of your place here. You were one of the Sultan's chosen, a beautiful boy dressed in silks, fed delicacies from across the empire, trained to satisfy the most powerful man in the world. Your youth, your beauty, your trembling submission, these were your shields. Now, those same qualities have become your curse. The guards do not speak as they enter your chamber. They simply gesture for you to rise. No explanation, no farewell. You are led through corridors you have never walked before, past locked doors and shadow staircases, deeper into the palace's hidden heart, where the screams never reach the Sultan's ears. But first, they need to test if you're truly broken enough for what comes next. The test comes sooner than you expect. Halfway through the corridor, the guards stop. One produces a small knife and holds it to your throat, not to kill you, but to see your reaction. Do you beg? Do you fight? Do you submit? Your response determines which room you'll be taken to, and which horrors await you there. The corridors themselves tell a story. The walls are lined with silk to muffle sound. The floors are covered with thick carpets to hide bloodstains. Every 20 feet, there's a guard post where eunuchs stand watch, making sure no one who enters these halls will ever leave to tell their story. But the decorations between the guard posts reveal the truth. Small plaques with symbols that mark different types of punishment rooms. Finally, they stop at a reinforced wooden door. One guard produces a key that looks different from any other in the palace. Heavier, older, stained dark, with something you don't want to identify. The lock turns with a metallic click. The door swings open, not to a dungeon, but to a small, richly furnished room with barred windows and a single bed. This is the cage, a prison built to look like a sanctuary, where you will be kept until the Sultan decides whether you deserve a quick death or something that will remake you entirely. And the room itself has been designed to break your mind before they even touch you. The door slams shut behind you with a finality that makes your bones ache. There are no chains, no guards inside, just silence and the faint scent of fear that previous occupants left behind. But the room has secrets that reveal themselves slowly, like a nightmare unfolding in daylight. The cushions have dark stains that soap cannot wash out. The wooden bed frame has scratches carved deep into it, fingernail marks from boys who clawed at anything they could reach. The beautiful carpet has burn marks where hot coals were dropped during interrogations. But these aren't random damage. They're deliberate decorations, meant to show you exactly what happened to the boys who came before. The window reveals another calculated cruelty. It's positioned so you can see into the Sultan's private gardens, where new favorites walk in the sunshine you'll never feel again. Beyond that, View lies the palace cemetery, where unmarked graves hold the remains of boys who never left this room alive. The window isn't there for light, it's there to show you what you've lost forever. But the real torture starts with something that seems like mercy. On your second day, a servant brings you a letter. It appears to be from the Sultan himself, written in his hand, sealed with his personal mark. The letter says he's made a mistake, that he wants to see you again, that your punishment has been lifted. For a moment, hope floods through you like poison in your veins. Then you notice the details that reveal the truth. The ink is too fresh. The paper smells wrong. The seal has a tiny flaw that the real one never had. This isn't mercy. It's the first stage of psychological torture, designed to raise your hopes so they can be crushed more completely. The false letter technique was perfected over centuries. Ottoman torturers discovered that a boy who believed in rescue could be broken faster than one who had given up entirely. Hope became a weapon as sharp as any blade, and they wielded it with surgical precision. Days pass, and the rhythm of palace life fades into a nightmare of waiting. No music reaches you. The laughter from the Sultan's private chambers is replaced by your own ragged breathing as you pace the same few steps over and over. Meals arrive silently, but they're different now. Plain rice, water, sometimes a piece of bread. The rich foods that once kept you healthy and beautiful are gone. They want you weak, but not for the reason you think. Physical weakness makes escape impossible, but that's not the goal. Mental weakness makes you suggestible, desperate, willing to believe anything they tell you if it means the suffering stops. Each day of hunger rewrites your priorities until survival becomes more important than dignity, and survival depends entirely on pleasing your captors. Here's what happens to boys who don't break fast enough. If you resist too long, sections of the carpet give way, dropping you into a smaller chamber below where the real work begins. The fall isn't meant to injure you, it's meant to show you that even the ground beneath your feet can't be trusted. But some boys never make it to the underground chambers. They break from something much simpler. For the truly desperate cases, they use family. Your parents, siblings, or childhood friends are brought to the palace under false pretenses. They're told you're ill and asking for them. When they arrive, they're taken to a room where they can see you through a window but can't reach you. Their presence breaks boys faster than any torture, because now your resistance isn't just costing you, it's costing the people you love. When the guards finally return, they carry silk rope and a small wooden box. The rope you recognize, it's used for execution by strangulation. But the box is worse. Inside are items from your old life, a piece of jewelry you thought was lost, a letter you wrote but never sent, a lock of hair cut while you slept. They've been watching you longer than you ever imagined. The items aren't just proof of surveillance. They're tools for the next phase of your destruction. Each object will be used to trigger specific memories, then corrupt those memories until you can't trust your own mind. The jewelry will be placed on other boys while you watch them suffer. The letter will be read aloud and mocked. The hair will be burned while they describe how they'll burn everything else you once cared about. The rope isn't for hanging you. It's for binding you in ways that leave no permanent marks but cause maximum pain. Ottoman torturers were experts at this. They could tie a boy's limbs so that every movement caused agony, but without breaking bones or cutting skin. The goal isn't to damage you. It's to teach you that relief comes only through absolute obedience. But before the physical torture begins, they need to complete your psychological preparation. You are led deeper underground, to chambers that smell of sweat, fear, and something else, something organic and wrong that makes your stomach turn. The smell comes from previous victims. Blood, yes, but also fear, sweat, vomit, and worse things that happen when a human body is pushed beyond its limits. The underground chambers were built specifically for remaking human beings. Each room has a different function, and the progression between them follows a careful plan developed over centuries of practice. The first room is for stripping, not just clothes, but identity. They cut your hair in humiliating patterns, remove any jewelry, and burn the silk garments that marked you as special. The second room is where they show you what happened to the boy who was here before you. The body is fresh enough that you can see what they did to him. The wounds, the marks, the expression of final terror frozen on his face. This isn't accidental. They time the deaths, so each new victim sees exactly what awaits them. The message is clear. Cooperation might save you from this fate, but resistance guarantees it. But the third room reveals the true horror. Sometimes the previous victim is still alive. Some boys are kept in various stages of breaking, displayed like trophies, to show new victims what cooperation looks like. You see boys who have been mentally shattered but physically preserved, boys who smile while tears run down their faces, boys who thank their torturers for causing them pain. These living examples are more terrifying than any corpse. The transformation process has a name in the palace: remaking. It doesn't mean killing you and starting over. It means keeping you alive while destroying everything that made you who you were, then rebuilding you into something useful for the Sultan's purposes. The first stage of remaking starts with a choice that has no right answer. They bring in another boy, someone you've never seen before, young and terrified. They explain that one of you will be tortured while the other watches. You can choose to suffer yourself, or you can choose to let the stranger suffer. Either choice damns you. Sacrifice yourself, and you're a martyr who can be broken through guilt. Sacrifice him, and you're a collaborator who can be broken through shame. Most boys try to find a third option, offering to take punishment for both, begging for mercy, promising anything. But the torturers have heard every plea before. There's no third option. There is only the choice that begins your transformation from victim to accomplice. The marking process that follows is more precise than any artist's work. Your perfect skin, once kissed by the Sultan himself, becomes a canvas for messages that only certain people can read. Some boys are tattooed with symbols indicating their new status, marks that tell any future owner exactly what you are and what you can be used for. A crescent moon on the shoulder means you're trained for intelligence gathering. A star on the wrist means you specialize in seduction. A dot behind the ear means you're broken enough to be trusted with the darkest secrets. Other boys receive scars that tell stories of ownership transfer. These aren't accidents. They're carved deliberately by expert hands. A straight line across the chest means you tried to resist and were punished. Curved marks on the arms mean you attempted escape. The worst scars are on the face. These mark boys who are considered too beautiful and needed to be humbled. But the real artistry lies in what they do to your mind while marking your body. During each marking session, they force you to repeat phrases that rewrite your identity. I'm nothing without my master. My beauty exists only to serve. I deserve whatever happens to me. The physical pain makes these words burn into your memory, but the real damage comes from saying them while your body responds with arousal to the attention. They've discovered that marking sessions conducted during moments of forced pleasure create deeper psychological scars than pure torture. Your mind learns to associate pain with pleasure, submission with relief, degradation with reward. This conditioning will make escape impossible even if the chains are removed. Before we go deeper into the most disturbing part of what happened next, subscribe and hit that like button if you can handle what is still to come. And comment below to tell me where you are watching from. It is incredible that people all around the world share the same dark curiosity about the most hidden chapters of human history. The training that follows makes everything before seem like kindness. You learn that your body can be used in ways you never imagined, by men whose faces you're never allowed to see. The palace has specialists, men whose only job is to ensure that a discarded concubine's spirit breaks completely before their body does. They are artists of psychological destruction, and they take pride in their work. The training isn't random torture. It's systematic education designed to remake your mind. Phase 1 teaches helplessness, convincing you that resistance is impossible. Phase 2 conditions responses, making your body react automatically to certain commands. Phase 3 breaks loyalty, ensuring you can never again trust your own feelings about anyone. But Phase 4 is where they perform their masterpiece. They make you grateful. Through carefully calibrated cycles of torture and relief, they teach you to see your abusers as saviors. When the pain stops, you feel genuine gratitude toward the person who caused it. When they speak kindly, you feel love for them. When they hurt you, you blame yourself for deserving it. This isn't Stockholm Syndrome. It's something much more sophisticated and permanent. The gratitude training involves specific techniques that exploit how human minds process trauma. They hurt you until you're desperate, then provide small comforts while speaking gently. Your brain, starved for any positive experience, begins to associate these people with safety and care. Over time, this false association becomes stronger than your memories of freedom. Meanwhile, your former life is being systematically erased. While you're underground being remade, specialists work above to remove every trace of your existence. Your quarters are stripped and reassigned. Your possessions are divided among other favorites. Your name is removed from records and forbidden in conversation. Anyone who mentions you is punished until they learn to forget. The erasure extends beyond the palace. Family members living in the city find themselves watched, their movements restricted, their homes searched without explanation. Letters sent to them are intercepted. Neighbors begin to avoid them, fearful of being tainted by association. Some families are relocated to distant provinces where they can't spread stories about their missing son. But the cruelest part is what they do to your replacement. A new boy is chosen to fill your role. Someone who looks similar to you, who can be trained to match your mannerisms and preferences. This replacement is brought to meet the Sultan while you're still alive, still aware of what you've lost. Through hidden windows, you're forced to watch as your replacement receives the love that was once yours. The replacement is shown your old quarters, given your old clothes, taught your old routines. But he's also shown what happened to you, not as a warning, but as entertainment. Your suffering becomes his education, and your destruction becomes his motivation to please the Sultan better than you ever did. The testing phase determines whether you're ready to be deployed as a weapon. In the Ottoman court, a broken concubine was more valuable than a dead one. Your shattered mind and violated body would become weapons in the Sultan's arsenal, tools for blackmail, intimidation, and control that reached far beyond the palace walls. But first, you had to prove your usefulness. The tests were designed to be impossible to fake. They pushed you to psychological limits where only genuine submission would work. The first test was betrayal. You would be given information about other concubines and commanded to reveal their secrets, knowing that your words would condemn your friends to the same fate you had suffered. The second test revealed how completely they had broken your moral compass. You would be brought a new victim, a boy fresh from the outside world, still untouched by the palace's corruption. Your job was to prepare him for what you had endured, to explain how resistance was useless, to help break his spirit before the professionals took over. If you could destroy an innocent's hope while feeling no guilt, you were ready for deployment. Most boys failed this test the first time. Seeing fresh innocence awakened whatever remained of their original selves, and they would try to warn the newcomer or help him escape. These failures resulted in additional training, more sophisticated techniques that eliminated the last traces of empathy and moral reasoning. The boys who passed became the Sultan's most prized possessions. You would be sent to the homes of powerful men who needed convincing, governors who questioned the Sultan's decrees, generals who showed too much independence, wealthy merchants who forgot their place. Your presence in their bedchambers, your hollow eyes and trembling hands, would send a message more powerful than any army. This is what happens to those I once favored. What do you think I will do to you? The logistics were carefully planned. You would be delivered in the middle of the night, often dressed in the same silks you once wore for the Sultan. Your beauty would still be intact, but now it was corrupted by the knowledge of what you had become. Men who saw you would understand immediately that resistance was futile. But your most valuable skill wasn't intimidation. It was intelligence gathering. Your broken state was actually an advantage. People would speak freely around someone they saw as completely powerless. You would be taught to read documents while appearing illiterate, to remember conversations word for word, to identify military weaknesses while seeming to care only about pleasure. The intelligence you gathered could topple kingdoms. Troop movements discussed during intimate moments. State secrets whispered in post-coital exhaustion. Alliance plans revealed to someone assumed to be too damaged to understand their significance. Your destroyed mind had become the perfect repository for information that could destroy nations. These records still exist in Ottoman archives, and what they reveal is terrifying. Detailed files describe how to break specific types of boys, what techniques work best on different personalities, how to maintain their usefulness while keeping them psychologically shattered. Historians who have read these files often refuse to discuss their contents publicly, claiming they're too disturbing for academic study. The files include case studies of successful deployments, specific missions, or broken concubines gathered intelligence that led to military victories, political assassinations, or the fall of rival dynasties. Some of these operations changed the course of history, and the world never knew they were carried out by boys who had been tortured into compliance. But the ultimate test of the Sultan system came during the reunion. The final stage was always a reunion. After months or years in the shadows, you would be brought before the Sultan again. Not as a discarded lover, not as a broken toy, but as a completed work of art, a human being so thoroughly destroyed and rebuilt that you had become something entirely new. The reunion wasn't private. It happened in front of the entire court, including new favorites who needed to understand their own fragility. You would be displayed like a trophy, proof of the Sultan's power to remake human souls. Current concubines would see you and realize that love meant nothing, that beauty was temporary, that the same lips that whispered endearments could order unthinkable horrors. But the reunion contained one final, devastating surprise. The Sultan would offer you a choice: return to your old life or continue in your new role. This wasn't mercy. It was the ultimate test of how completely you'd been broken. By this point, your old life would seem impossible to reclaim. You'd been so thoroughly conditioned to your new existence that freedom felt more terrifying than slavery. Most broken concubines chose to remain in their new roles. They would kneel before the Sultan and beg to continue serving him in whatever capacity he desired. This voluntary submission was the ultimate proof of successful remaking. You weren't just obedient, you were grateful for the chance to be useful. The psychological conditioning was so complete that resistance became impossible. Even after everything, some part of you would still crave the Sultan's approval. You would compete with other broken things for his momentary attention, grateful for even a glance of recognition. This wasn't love. It was a form of psychological addiction that had been carefully cultivated through months of systematic abuse. If this glimpse into history's hidden darkness has left you wanting more, click on the video appearing on your screen now to discover another shocking chapter that history tried to erase. And if you found this exploration as compelling as I did, hit that subscribe button so we can keep peeling back the layers together. These forgotten voices deserve to be heard, and there are so many more stories waiting to be told.